What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here, and guys, y'all know what Secret Santa is, right? You know, the little game that you and your friendship group do where everybody kind of picks at random a different person in the group to get presents for, and it's supposed to be like kind of low-key a secret, but you go out, just get something small for them, and then it's like, here. I don't know, some people, they know who it is, some people don't, but it just depends. If you haven't done it before, I really suggest you go and do it with your friendship group, or maybe even for this Christmas, you know? I genuinely think it is a good bonding activity between you and your friends. It can really bring you closer. So you see, as I was thinking about doing it with my friendship group, it made me think, wait, what if the Straw Hats did a Secret Santa within themselves? Who would get who what? And you know, what would they get? For this, I randomized each Straw Hat and said, all right, who's getting who? Just like in a randomizer. So I already thought of these off rip, and that's kind of what I just want to go over today. Which Straw Hat would get who what if they all did a Straw Hat Secret Santa? But before we get into revealing all the amazing gifts that are about to be bought, guys, please give me a gift, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this every week, and share it around with all your friends who love the series. You know what we always say, let's get it going. Oh, make sure you subscribe to me and my boys over at CSY. We are very close to 2.5k. Now, first things first is I need to give credit to the person who came up with this idea, or who at least I seen it from, which is Tekking 101. He did a video about this, I think either last year or like 2 years ago, and I just remembered it and remember thinking, wow, that is actually a really great idea. His video will be linked down below if you somehow haven't seen it. I really strongly urge you do, because it's just funny, and it also gives a basic framework for what I'm about to be doing. So story wise, let's give a bit of a story so that we have a setting for what's going on. So we can say that it's December time, and this is in a parallel universe where it's after Egghead but before Elbaf. It's kind of like how in movies and OVAs and movie tie-ins, there are certain things that, you know, like the Straw Hats being all together even though they really shouldn't be, and just stuff like that where, you know, continuity wise it doesn't make sense if this was this universe, but it's explained away as another universe, so it doesn't matter. So Christmas is coming up, and they all draw straws to determine who's getting who what. So they're gonna stop at a random new world town, you know, just a standard town, in case anybody needs to buy anybody anything, they can find it on that town. If not, then it's just something that, you know, of their own that they can give. Let's just say that the Giants and Bonnie and Lilith are all gonna be waiting for them on the Great Eric, you know, in the surrounding waters, just waiting for this to happen. I also want to say, Lilith and Bonnie are not included. One, because they aren't officially Straw Hats yet, and two, because they already got gifts at the end of Egghead. Lilith's gift was the gift of life. She still survived, being the only one of the others good satellites and Vegapunk's real body to survive. And Bonnie's gift was seeing the horizon with her father. I don't think Bonnie needs anything. I think she's just content now. But with that all said and done, let's get into the pairings. And starting us off, we have Sanji giving a gift to Luffy. Now, Sanji is obviously one of the easiest people to be the gift giver, because he'll just master chef up anything that whoever is his intended recipient wants. And with Luffy, we already know it's gonna be meat. So Sanji will definitely give him an all-out buffet of all types of meat options, prepared in as many ways as he can think of: grilled, sauteed, barbecued, roasted, baked, boiled, broiled. I don't even know if all those things can be done to meat necessarily, but if there's anyone who would find a way to do it and make it taste amazing, it's Sanji. And then you already know that the sides are going to be amazing too. You know, he'll probably give him like some really great potatoes or fries, cut up just how Luffy likes them. Some of the meat can be cut up into rice, mixed in, you know, with some rice, some legumes. I feel like you can make a really good like rice dish. In fact, isn't Sanji's specialty seafood risotto? Yeah. Why don't we do a meat risotto and just replace the seafood with meat? So that was an easy one. But moving on to the next pairing, we have Luffy giving a gift to Zoro. Now, a lot of people will say that Luffy's just ignorant and doesn't really know things, but Luffy knows his crewmates, especially Zoro. Zoro was his first crewmate. That means something to him. So knowing how important these items are to Zoro, I think he's definitely gonna try and get him a sword. Now, he'll probably be at whatever town it is and trying to, like, you know, find a sword shop. He'll try to buy a sword until he realizes that he doesn't have any money, and in doing so, he'll steal it instead. I mean, okay, look, tell me that Luffy wouldn't just steal a sword if he couldn't pay for it. Luffy's still a good guy, but he's also still a pirate at the end of the day. And obviously, Zoro already has his 3 swords that he, like, you know, he takes with him into battle, and those are his set. But, you know, just out of the fact that this is a gift not only from Luffy being his captain, but also Luffy being his friend who fought was thoughtful enough to do this for him, I think Zoro would try and use it, at least just for a bit. If anything, if there's a single person who could make a random sword really strong, I would believe it's Zoro. Well, I'd say Mihawk first, but then Zoro. Nope, I'd say Garling before Zoro. I'd also say Vista before Zoro. Okay, there's a few people before Zoro, but Zoro's up there. Especially on Wano, because you remember the first time that Luffy and Zoro reunited on Wano, it was when Luffy had the Nidai Kitetsu, and Zoro was like, yo, let me see that. And Luffy was like, no, hold up, let me use it. And by use it, he means just hold it in his hand while he continues to do his regular punches. Honestly, I don't know what's wrong with Luffy. But next on the docket, we have Usopp getting a gift for Nami. Now, we already know Usopp and Nami's dynamic is like this. They're real tight, and I think that their characters play off really well together. So I think that Usopp, of all characters on the crew, is gonna know kind of what Nami needs almost, which is different than what she wants. So I think that because he's already worked on it, he's gonna do some sort of improvement to the new climate attack with Zeus now residing in it. He can probably engineer something up. I was at first thinking that maybe there's something he could do with his pop greens to make Zeus be able to change the consistency of himself in terms of maybe if he adds in Trampolia somewhere there, then Zeus can become bouncy and allow Nami to bounce on him. But then at the same time, Zeus should already be able to do that since he could allow Big Mom to ride him. Then I thought something amazing. What if there was a new technique involving acid rain? That would be really tough, especially because we've already seen Usopp use pesticides when he's, gardening his pop green garden. So imagine, if there's some sort of way to combine that with Zeus so that Zeus can emit acid rain, I feel like that would actually be really strong. And if not, then maybe he can give Nami the rest of the money that he made from being the toad oil salesman while he was waiting for the others on Wano. Because you see, I think he made decent bang from that gig. Like he was still selling the toad oil at the end of the day. And it's a tangent, but it just makes me think, whatever happened to the frog that was riding around with him? Nah, because I'm serious. I wanted that frog to be part of the crew, just tangentially. Next up on the docket, Zoro getting a gift for Usopp. Now, Zoro and Usopp's relationship is really defined by Zoro watching Usopp, and to a lesser extent Chopper, really grow into their own as, just people on the crew and do what they can for the crew, even if that isn't really combat based or is able to match what, Zoro and the other stronger members of the crew are able to do. As shown how he gave Usopp a smirk when Usopp saved the whole crew using the Sargasso technique during their Fishman Island descent. So I think Zoro would try to give Usopp, it's still Zoro, so it's something that he thinks like, oh, this is in line for me to give. I think Zoro would give something like a machete or a dagger, something that Usopp could reasonably fit into his arsenal. Now, Zoro knows that close combat is not Usopp's strong suit, so I imagine he would probably very simply just give it to him and be like, look, this can be really useful to you, but you need to train in it. And I can even see a scene now, Usopp just being like, what am I gonna do with this? I will never train in close combat, as a comedy moment, but then somewhere down the line, he actually ends up using it. Next on the docket, Chopper getting a gift for Sanji. Now, the meme answer I wanted to give is that because Chopper's a doctor and he sees that Sanji is still being afflicted by the whole women thing, he would try and give the rehabilitation photos of Nami and Robin that he gave Sanji during the descent to Fishman Island, just so it's like, look, if you can tank and build up tolerance to Nami and Robin, maybe you'll be able to do that to the other women around. Also because, Chopper doesn't really understand all this kind of human emotion that Sanji's going through. He's not a human, he doesn't get it. But I think that the way to combine their two fields is to think about herbs and spices that can work in both medical and culinary practices. So I think if Chopper already has them in his collection, he could give these to Sanji and be like, look, these are some medicinal herbs that I know and use, and they do this, but I feel like you could probably find a way to make these work in food as well. If there's anyone who I trust to experiment with flavor, it's Sanji. Or even if Chopper doesn't have them, he could probably write up a cookbook or draft a list and it's like, oh, we can try and find these or keep these in mind as we go through the islands. These can be new spices to use. Next on the docket, we do have Frankie getting a gift for Chopper, and I feel like there's only one right answer to this. Frankie's gonna give Chopper, build him his very own mech suit that's going to leave Luffy and Usopp incredibly jealous. There's a potential for so many different features. As I'm thinking about this, it would be so cool to see. One thing that may be really cool to see is how the suit can maybe adapt and add things to Chopper's different forms. So maybe if Chopper goes into Horn Point, it gains like, metal spikes or like extra spikes on the end. Or maybe in Guard Point, the metal like kind of encases it and adds an extra layer of protection. Or it's just like a suit itself that Chopper wears, but then it has a bunch of different features that he would just love. Now, as a doctor, I'm sure that there would be like some sort of healing spray, like maybe coming out of the palm or something, just as a like, the sprays that like doctors usually use, like anesthetic, or I'm not a doctor, guys. I don't know what it's called. But just like for quick medicinal dispense if Chopper needs to. I feel like he could have ice thrusters coming out of the hands, like he could like do some like mini freezing, but then also use it like as short like flight if he needs to, brief bursts of flight. Definitely some sort of laser or blaster, just because Chopper loves it when Frankie uses like the radical beam or other stuff like that. Chopper, he really eats that up. And then I'm sure Chopper would also love like, a mini jetpack or hover boots or something, because we see in Egghead, he's actually one of the best at using Vegapunk's Dom shoes, like, and just floating, because he was just floating everywhere during that arc. So yeah, I think that would be an amazing gift for him. Next on the docket, Brook giving a gift to Robin. Now I could say that the gift he would give would be the haircut that he ends up giving in chapter 1131, the haircut that takes her back to more of her pre-time skip look, but honestly that's kind of boring. But their duo dynamic is so amazing, they just like go off of each other so well. I just know that Brook kind of gets Robin, especially them like connecting over being alone for so long. I think that there's potential. So I think knowing how much like her past means to her from the Black Maria fight, Brook would definitely be trying to find some sort of song that Robin could relate to. Either one that, may have been played on O'Hara a lot, or one that Robin was just sure to hear just because of the times, but Brook would definitely serenade her in some way. Even if not, I'm sure she enjoys classical music, so he would give her the most amazing rendition performance of classical music that anyone's ever heard in the history of the world. Then we have Jinbei getting a gift for Frankie. I think Jinbei, being the kind of big boss character he is and also a sake lover, he'll definitely try and find some sort of legendary sake. Sake that even goes beyond regular sake. This may be a situation where he has to swim away from the crew for a bit, just, to like kind of, maybe it's in the surrounding area, but he has to like swim kind of fast. But I feel like, between his connections in the sea and then him just being one of the fastest fishmen in the water, I think that he can definitely like make it back in time at least. And I think the funniest part to me would be seeing that Frankie probably wouldn't even drink it. Just like in Enies Lobby when Chopper was giving him the different kind of drinks to use to power himself up, I feel like Frankie will take the sake, open up his chest cavity, belly cavity thing, and replace it for his cola just to see what happens. And immediately I'm just imagining that his personality would become like overly serious, overly dramatic, almost like what a true Yakuza boss kind of characteristic would be. Kind of like what Ashura Doji was, or kind of like Shanks when he gets serious, just like a serious, like dependable man type character that you can like really look and be like, wow, that's my boss. Either that, or he'll just become a very dramatic poet. I think a quirk that could go along with this is that he's a poet, but he can only speak in haikus. In fact, why isn't there a character who only speaks in haikus? I feel like I should make that a character if it doesn't exist already. There's probably somewhere in anime that exists, because that's a great gag. Then we have Nami getting a gift for Brook, and alright guys, it's finally happened. Brook finally gets the panties. Now, of course, there'll have to be stipulations, because Nami just giving Brook her panties for free, like, she would never do that. So for one thing, I think it would only be for that day, and it would have to only be for that day. But I think she would also add in the stipulation that every time Brook looks at it, she owes him 100,000 belly. And I already see the situation, because Brook would be like, I don't even have eyes to see. And Nami will be like, I don't care, you're not getting through this. And finally, what that means is that we are left with Robin getting a gift for Jinbei. So you would think that Robin would try to get Jinbei something relating to the past of Fishman, something important, but what would Jinbei not know already, Like, I feel like it can't be history based, because Jinbei would probably already know that, right? I was thinking like if she has it, some sort of manuscript of like or relic from like ancient times that relate to the fishmen, but again, I can't really say for sure that she just has that. Like, where would she get that from? So that's what I was thinking, but then a better idea hit me. We know she found and read Joy Boy's apology letter to the mermaid princess on the poneglyph at Fishman Island. So what if, even though it's not a traditional gift, they just spend time together trying to decode what the message was about and learn more about, the past and how Joy Boy relates to Fishman Island and the old mermaid princess. Even though it's not necessarily a present in the way that people are thinking of presents, I still think that it shows the connectivity between humans and fishmen, which is like Jinbei's entire motto. And then it still relates with Robin because it's explaining the past. So I think that works pretty well. But I want to hear what you guys think works well. What presents do you think the Straw Hats would get each other if not any of these? Or who do you think would get who what if, a different pairing was made? Let me know all you think and more in the comments. So that's going to be the end of the video, guys. But before we go, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this, and share it around with all your friends who love the series. Like I always say, I'm trying to build a community, but I need your help to do it. Well, that's going to be all from me. I'll catch you on the next one. And always remember, One Piece, one life. Oh my goodness, I'm so tired. I've been filming these back to back to stock up for the winter break, and I have a headache. I may be going insane, guys. That may be what's happening.